what I'd like to do now, mate, is show you another example of how to give a colt their first ride, okay? Shayna is going to ride this horse here. His name is Duke. He's one of my performance horses that I sold to a great customer called Jim Cruz. And Duke is by Smart Chickalina, and he's out of a Shining Spark mare that won a little over $60,000. She was second in the World's Greatest Horseman contest a few years ago, and a great, great mare. I have two 2-year-olds out of her, Highbrow Cat mare, and then this guy here called Duke by Smart Chickalina. So he's ready for his first ride. So Shayna's going to ride him. I'm going to work with her on the ground. And he's been in our program again ever since he was born. We did the imprinting on him and all the groundwork and so forth. So he's very quiet and he knows his basics. Okay, so I thought it'd just be good to show you just another example of the first ride. Shayna's going to stand there and flex him a little bit. I'm going to move this bag a little bit so Duke knows I'm here. And then what Shayna's going to do is get halfway on. She's going to step up from the horse's shoulder. Always get on from the shoulder, not back near their back cinch. Okay, and she's going to get halfway on. Okay. And then she's going to lean over. Now I'm going to move this bag just enough, not really to make him move, but so he looks at me a little bit and he knows I'm here. Okay, and then she's going to step back down. Okay, and then back up again. And she's just rubbing him on that other side, letting him know. And we've done all the same preparation as what the Mustangs had. Okay, pick me up off the fence and flapping the stirrups and all the groundwork. Now, Shayna, next time she's going to get all the way on. Okay, rub him there. In fact, he's had a lot more groundwork because all of our foals, by the time they're 6 months of age, can do everything on fundamentals and intermediate groundwork as well. Okay, so the first thing Shayna's going to do is just flex him there from side to side. Okay, just get him to understand how to soften to that hackamore. Okay, there we go. See, like right there, when he gets a little stuck there, you see how I shake that bag and kind of get his attention? And that kind of helps him figure out to go the other way. Like right here, he's stuck. There, see how when I flapped the bag, he looked at me, okay? And then Shayna was able to bend him the other way. Just a little trick there I'll do to him if they get stuck there. Have the person on the ground get their attention so they straighten their head out. There, I really like this colt. He's real athletic. He's just got a real cool look to him. There we go. If he keeps being what I hope he's going to be, he's either going to be a reiner or a cow horse. That's it. We sell most of our performance horses as yearlings. The majority of them get sold as yearlings. That's it. There we go. That's it. Okay, Shayna, you feel like you got good enough control of his head and neck there? Okay, bend him around there. One hand on the horn. Okay. So we're going to move these forequarters, hindquarters, forequarters, hindquarters, forequarters, hindquarters. Look, watch Shayna's legs. Look, her right leg's back, left leg's forward. Right leg's back, left leg's forward. Right leg's back, left leg forward. She closed the door. Now watch, open the door. See how she points? Close the door, open the door. Now we'll just stop him. What do I mean by that, open the door? When she goes to yield his hindquarters, she bends her, pulls his head back to her hip, and she puts her leg back like that. And that encourages that hindquarters to move off that leg. And then when the hindquarters moves, then she opens the door by pointing that hand out the side, taking this leg off, and pressing with this outside leg up near the shoulder or the girth to bring that front end through. So it's close the door, open the door. Righto, Shayna, we'll go the other way. Okay, open the door. Close the door. Open, close. Open, close. Open the door, close. Open. I have to whack on him a little bit because he's a little lazy here. There we go. There we go. Okay, just flex him. Rightio. Let's go back to the left again. We'll start to let him out. Close the door there. Now we'll let him out just a few steps. There we go. Now yield. Okay, yield. Yield that hindquarters. There. He's quite a bit softer, isn't he, than the Mustang. It's because he's had a lot more groundwork. Yield his hindquarters again. There. Let him out. One more time, yield his hindquarters, and when we let him out. Okay, Shayna's gonna rub on him there a little bit. I'm gonna keep that bag moving, okay? I want half his attention on me, half it on the rider. Move all over him there, that's it. Now, he just loped off by himself there. And did you see how Shayna just sat on and she didn't do anything? Because that's it, bend him around, good go. Righto, let him back out again, he's fine. Excellent, she handled that the right way just then. Excellent. There, if he wants to lope a little bit, she'll let him go. But then she grabbed him if he started to go a little too fast. That's it. Excellent. But you see how she didn't like grab him straight away and scare him. She just smoothly picked up and we yielded him. So he's a lot more athletic than what the Mustang is. So it doesn't take anywhere near as much effort to get him to go forward. Okay, now he's starting to relax with Shayna there. Okay, so Shayna's going to move around on him again, rubbing him on his neck, on his butt. There we go. Okay, they just got to get used to seeing somebody back there. There, I'll let him trot a little bit, especially because he offered the canter by himself. I won't want him to feel like it's wrong to come back slow. There we go. He ain't going to run too far. He's too short and fat. Okay. He's going to knock out air pretty quick. Rightio. Okay, Shayna, we're going to stop him. I'm going to step out in front. At the same time, you flex him. Good girl. She's going to flex him a few times here. Now, in the beginning, if you can't get him to touch your toe, that's all right. Just get him to get off that hackamore. If they're pretty stiff and you can just get them to bend a little bit, that's all right. Watch how quickly Shayna releases that rein. That's the secret to it, how quickly you release it. Release it back, there. It's that release. Good girl. Okay, we flexed him a little bit, Shayna. Let's take him the other way. Turn, put your hand on the horn there, that's it. Open up that door, close that door. We'll let him go out just a few feet, not very far. There, yield. Let him go out a little bit further. Yield. You wean him out onto that circle. Don't just let him take off out there. A little bit further. Now yield. Now let him go out a little bit further. That's it. One more yield now, Shayna. Yield. Good girl. Open up the door. Righto. Now she's just going to start rubbing on him. Okay, it's very important that I keep this bag moving here. Again, if he breaks into a canter, she'll probably let him as long as he doesn't take off too fast or go to bucking or doing something silly. Okay, but if I offer to lope like that, I don't knock that back too much because again, I want to get those feet freed up. You know, he's just a lot more athletic than what the Mustang is. He's bred to be athletic. Okay. That's it. There we go. Okay, Shayna's going to move around on him a little bit more now. Rub him on the neck, rub him on the butt, slap a hand on a leg. Remember, you got to be drinking. He's good now, Shayna. That's it. Move all over him. That's it. That's it. Move all over him. The more you act like you've been drinking all day, the better. That's it. Keep this bag moving. Righto, Shayna. Stop him with one rein. I step out in front, help you get stopped. So in the beginning, if you can't get him to flex all the way around, that's all right. Just get some sort of a give. Even if it's just a little bit and then release, and then you'll build on that. See there how he got a little stuck? And when I flapped that bag, he looked at me and that helped Shayna. Righto, mate, let's go left. Okay, we'll ask him lope. There we go. That's it. Looking good. He's an athletic little devil. Okay, half a turn to the inside, Shayna. Change hands. I love that. See, when I point, he just lopes off. That's great. Okay, half a turn to the inside. I step out in front at the same time. She directs his nose. One full turn to the inside. So I get here, change hands, here. There's a nice little spin there. His mother could really turn around. Excellent. Rightio, 1.5 to the inside. There's half, 1, drop it. Ah, yeah. That's it. Move all over this donkey. He's doing great. One full turn to the inside. So I pick her, she picks up, I help her. One full turn. Okay, that's all right. 1.5 to the inside. Half. There we go. Good go. Next time we'll do one full turn, okay? Right, one full turn to the inside, here. Change hands, here. Let him out. Righto, Shayna, 1.5 to the inside. Pull his nose. Half. There. There we go. Move on out. That's it. Start slapping on him a lot more now, Shayna. That's it. Move that hand around on him. Slap him on the butt. That's it. He's pretty quiet. Righto. Half a turn into the fence. There's a little roll back. That's it. Half a turn into the fence. One full turn into the fence. Good girl. 1.5 into the fence. Half. 1. There we go. Let him just trot now a little bit. Good. That's excellent. Now, because he was a little feelier, well, he was a lot feelier than the Mustang, he had a lot more forward energy. So I'm just going to let him relax and trot a little bit, and then I'm going to have Shayna ask him to lope by herself. Because right now, we haven't really asked him to lope, he's just kind of offered it, we've gone along with it. Okay, Shayna, see if you can get him to canter a little bit. Pick up your spanker, squeeze, cluck. Just see how, there, see how sensitive he is? It only took a little bit of a wave of that spanker and he says, you don't need to spank me. You know, on the Mustang, I had to make a little fur fly on that thing, okay? This one's a lot more sensitive. That's what breeding does. You want them to do a job better, you get them bred for it. That's it, a little bit more. Yeah. Half a turn to the inside. Let's get him cantering this way. Squeeze, cluck, spank a little bit. That's it, she's starting gently, she's increasing the pressure, increasing it with rhythm. There, until he moves. Good boy. See how she didn't stop until she got the feet to canter. She kept a consistent rhythm, 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 rhythm. There, until the feet changed. Righto, we'll just let him trot now, Shayna. Okay, so last few minutes here, we're going to flop all over him, reach back, pull on that back cinch, slap him on the butt. Okay, really move all over this thing. I want them to be thinking that people constantly drink and then we ride horses. No sober riders. Because the more you flop all over them in those first 3 or 4 rides, the quieter they get. The stiller you sit and the quieter you are, I guarantee you, the jumpier and spookier they'll get when you ride them. Remember, heart attacks are free, so give your horse one. See how I'm constantly moving this bag? I want him dead to me almost. That's it. Half a turn into the fence. That's it. Excellent. Duke did really, really good for his first ride. Let him finish off nice and relaxed. The more Shayna slaps on him, the better. Half a turn to the outside. Now we just let him walk a little bit. Okay. I don't want to run him to a point of exhaustion by any means, but I certainly want to get him moving out there and get him huffing and puffing a little bit. Remember, a tired colt is a good colt. I've never seen a tired 2-year-old buck anybody off, but I've seen lots of fresh ones, lots of ones that are full of beans and feeling their oats and sorry, broken, flighty and disrespectful buck a lot of people up, but I've never seen a tired colt give anybody any real trouble. That's it. Excellent. That's it, just get in his way. See how he trotted just then? Shayna just got in his way with one rein and said, hey, how about we redirect those feet? See what she did again? I love the way this colt gets around. You see how he uses his back end? See that turn, how he just pivoted on that back end? He locked it up and moved that front end through. You can tell a lot about a colt in the round pen. How they get around and move is a lot how they're going to ride. Now, there's no guarantee he's going to be a phenomenal athlete under saddle and do what I want, but he's shaping up pretty good. Rightio, Shayna, we've let him walk, let him relax. Let's let him get back to the center. So you direct his nose, I'll help you get there. That's it, get back to the center. That's it. There, and then you just start flexing him. Excellent. Always start and finish in the center of the round pen. So it's not hard to see the athletic ability in this type of colt than what it was the Mustang. Okay. I'm going to kind of get around in front of her here. I don't spend forever at the standstill just letting them sit there either, because you'll find with a colt they get sitting there too long and they get a little cold or a little bit seized up, and when you move they might jump out from underneath you or buck you off. Well, I remember when I was probably about 13 or 14, I went to Gordon McKinley's place for the first time, and I was riding this 2-year-old that only had a couple of rides. Loosen up your reins just a little bit more, Shane. Anyway, he said to me, he said, Clinton, he said, you don't ever want to sit around on a 2-year-old with only 4 or 5 rides on them for very long without doing something to them, because he said what happens is they'll fall asleep with you being up on their back and they'll doze off, and then all of a sudden, you know, they'll wake up 10 minutes later and you'll move and touch them on the butt and they'll go to bucking or buck you off or do something silly. And sure enough, I was young and inexperienced, and basically that means stupid, okay? And I remember sitting on this mare, and she only had 3 rides, and I sat on there and let her just air up for about 10 minutes, and I was talking to some other guys in the arena. See here? See when Duke got stuck just then, I moved that bag to help unstick his nose there with Shayna. Anyway, that colt I touched that mare on the butt, and that colt woke up in a hurry and bucked me off and slammed me into the ground. So from that day on, I was very conscious about making sure you didn't spend a lot of time. Like if I'm going to sit on them, I'm going to flex them like this. I'm going to do something to them. I'm not just going to sit. I'm not going to sit there and let them doze off, because when you do that, that's when they really start to forget you're up there. It's not that they want to be bad, but when they wake up, they forgot you were up there, okay? So I let them just doze off completely for at least 2 or 3 weeks to where they're really comfortable with me being up there. Righto, Shayna, is he right to get off? Let me get out in front of you a little bit more. Shayna's going to take a right foot out of the stirrup, lean forward, grab some mane, let him know she's coming, lean forward. See, this pre-warns him, I'm coming. And then she's going to step off up in front of his front foot. The further forward you stand, the better. And then she's going to immediately flex him. Immediately flex him straight away. Okay, great. Good job, Shayna. That was another textbook ride right there. Okay, that's what we're looking for right there, is get those feet to move forwards, or all 3 gaits. He was a lot more willing to move forward, so we went with it, okay? Now, first couple of times he kind of scooted off a little quick, and Shayna waited, and then he got a little too quick, and then she shut him down. Just what you need to do. But she didn't shut him down the second he took off, because you got to feel that out just a little bit there. Sometimes with these colts, if you shut them down as soon as they speed up a little bit, then they get worried about you, okay? That's why it's colt starting. You've got to be a good enough rider that if they jump or move forward, you just kind of go with them a little bit and don't grab them with your legs and grab them with your hands and scare them and shut them down, okay? But there is no safer way in the world, as far as I'm concerned, in starting colts than what I just showed you here with 2 people. This is the way that Gordon showed me, and I've seen every other method out there, and I guarantee you this is by far the safest way to get a horse not to want to buck or bolt with a rider, okay? I guarantee you of that. So I hope this helped you, mate. Okay, mate, we're back here for Ransom's second ride. I've been doing groundwork now for about 30 minutes, moving his feet forwards, backwards, left and right, and doing the desensitizing. He's getting quieter and quieter each day, and now he's ready to ride. Well, how do I know they're ready to ride? They're using the thinking side of their brain, they're calm, they're relaxed, they're not jumping, spooking, etc. If they are a little jumpy or spooky, don't be frightened to do an extra 10, 15, 20 minutes worth of groundwork. Get a little tired and a little sweaty before you go ahead and get on. So I've got Shayna in the round pen to help me again today, but she's going to do a lot less work today and I'm going to do a lot more, okay? So to begin with, I'm going to check his head around, okay? First of all, make sure you check your girth, make sure everything's nice and tight. It's pretty tight there, okay? And I'm just gonna bend his head a little bit and climb halfway on. Bend his head, just like that. And then let him know I'm coming. Move that fender around, rub him on his shoulder here, okay? And step down. Keep that head bent. See how I keep that head bent? There, just like that. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and get on. By keeping the head bent, you're a lot safer. Okay, you've got to keep that head bent. If you don't get that head bent, you're in trouble. Okay, now before I do anything, I'm just gonna flex him back and forth here. See if we can't get him flexing a little bit better. Now when I was getting on, if he would have started moving around, okay, or fidgeting, I just would have tried to put more bend in his head, kind of like put him in a little bit of a bind. And then as soon as he stood still, I would immediately step down. Try and show him that by standing still, that's almost what it's going to take to get me to get off him. So he's a little bit lighter here today, still a little heavy from side to side, but that's typical when you first start flexing him from under saddle. See, like right there, he gets a little stuck right there, going from right back to left. Going from left to right, he's actually pretty good here. But coming this way, see that there? He gets a little stuck right there. So I'll kind of bump my hand out the side to help him with that. Eventually I won't have to. Don't be in a hurry just to go off somewhere. Spend a good minute or two just flexing them from side to side. See how Shayna positions herself so she's always in front of me. She doesn't get behind me, she always gets in front of me. Kind of gets his attention a little bit there. There we go. So that's definitely a lot better than yesterday, a lot lighter than yesterday. Not perfect, but he doesn't have to be perfect, it's just his second session. So what we're gonna do now is basically just go ahead and move his feet around. Okay, Shayna? 4 quarters, hind quarters, 4 quarters, hind quarters, 4 quarters, hind quarters. I tap him with my left leg back, now right leg forward. Hang on a second here, there we go. Left leg back, 4 quarters. Hind quarters, 4 quarters. Wait, left leg, right leg. This left leg, wait. Hop onto the fence a little bit more, mate. There we go. Hind quarters, 4 quarters. Hind quarters, 4 quarters. Hind quarters, 4 quarters. Hind quarters, 4 quarters. Okay, stop. So when I say hind quarters, I actually, like right now he's bent. When I say hind quarters, I put my left leg back behind that cinch to help encourage that hind quarters to move. When I say 4 quarters, I get my right leg and I tap him up here on his elbow a little bit to encourage that 4 quarters to move. Try him the other way, okay? Hind quarters, right leg, now left leg. Right leg back, left leg forward. Right leg back, left leg forward. Right leg back, left leg forward. He's actually a lot softer today on his right side, which yesterday was his bad side, than what he feels on the left. There. Hind quarters, 4 quarters. Hind quarters, 4 quarters. Hind quarters, 4 quarters. Okay, stop. And Shayna just kind of backs away. When I want to stop, she just stops moving and backs away. Now remember, the whole reason why we're moving each end of the horse is not to let them get in a habit of just running off and bucking or bolting. I want to show the horse that I can control each end of him. Okay, I can control each end of his body. Let's try it again, Shayna. Forequarters, stay there, because we're going to send him out. Now hindquarters. Forequarters, and let him go out a little bit. Now yield his hindquarters, there. Now forequarters, let him go out a little further. Now ease him back into it, hindquarters, forequarters. Let him go out a little further. Hindquarters now. That's it, there. Now I'll just let him on out. Okay, now, did you notice that we just kind of, again, weaned him out onto that circle? Don't just let him run out there, okay? Let him go out a little bit, bring him back. Let him go out a little further, bring him back. I want to let him know that at any point, I can go ahead and get control of him. Get control of those feet. Okay, start moving all over him right from the beginning. See how Shane is keeping that bag moving? Okay, I'm going to ask him to canter. Squeeze, cluck. Shane is going to help me a little bit here. That's it. Get those feet moving. I like that time. When I started to cluck, he really started to move those feet. That's it. That's it. He's moving out better today. That's it. Righto. We're going to go ahead and stop him over here, Shayna, and just stop. Let him sit for a second. Today I notice him moving out a lot better. I don't notice him anywhere near as sticky, which is pretty normal. Second day they have a little bit better idea of what to do. So I like that. That's my boy. He's doing better. Righto, Shayna, let's go ahead and move his front end. See, I'm tapping him on his elbow. Let him go out a little bit. Now yield the hindquarters. Right leg back, left leg forward. Let him go out a little further. Yield that hindquarter. See how I look back at it? Push it away. Okay. Let him go out a little further again. And now yield his hindquarters. Forequarters. And now we're pretty much just going to let him cruise around here. Okay. I usually let him trot a few circles first, okay, and then we start getting him cantering. I really like to get that canter established on these colts. Get them moving out. Can't train a horse without forward motion. Okay, Shayna. Squeeze, cluck. That's it. That's it. The first time we make him canter, on the second day, I probably don't do too much spanking, just in case they're a little fresh. But from this point on, I will, when we change directions. That's it. Get those feet moving. Righto, Shane, let's change directions. Right, now I'm going to see if I can't get him cantering. Come on. That's the boy. So Shane is going to do a lot less now. Okay, I'm going to take it more over. Squeeze, cluck. Squeeze, cluck. You know, make sure you're behind the drive line right there. Because he has a tendency to want to turn right there. Shane is going to get a little bit more behind him, like about here, so he doesn't stop and do that. Pull it, step out in front of him. Turn this way. Okay, so he's done it to us twice now, so be ready over there. Get in here, there you go. Get ready. There you go. That's it. Move forward. Now when I turn him, I'm going to turn him in right here, not out to the fence. Keep spanking and with rhythm until I get him to move forward. See how Shane is keeping the bag stiller? I keep spanking till his feet move. Move. Got to get those feet freed up. I'm going to turn him in. That's it. Move those feet. Can't train a horse without forward movement. That's it. Okay, one full turn into the center. Let's go. Help me a little bit. There we go. 1.5 to the center. Turn in. There's one. There. That's better. Move forward. Squeeze with my legs means go forward. Cluck means I'm warning you, and spank is just that, spank. How long do I spank? As long as it takes to get him to canter. But see how I'm under and over it. I'm not doing this, spanking like this with one hand. You're ineffective. That's why I like tying a couple of knots on the end of this. It's got a bit of a weight on my whacker. One full turn to the inside. There we go. Move forward. Just going to let him trot now. 1.5 to the center. Turn in. There we go. Here, hang on. Let me get this. That's better. I don't want to let him just turn whatever way he wants. It's very important from the second ride on you get him out of this round pen, because a round pen is good in the beginning, but if you stay in there too long, it shuts them down mentally where they don't want to move forward. So tomorrow we'll start him in the round pen for the first couple of minutes, and then we'll get out in this arena, ride him around the arena. Got to get him outside. Okay, now I'm just going to turn him now without Shayna's help. Okay, just get him to follow his nose. Whack him on his neck here a little bit. That's it. Come on, move. See how sticky they get? Get very sticky very quickly. Okay, I'm going to pick up. Tap him on his outside elbow a little bit. Come on, move. And just stand there. So Shayna's doing very little today compared to yesterday. We'll do another 360. Couple of turns here. Squeeze with your legs. I'm asking you to go. If he doesn't respond, we cluck. If he still doesn't respond, we spank. And we keep spanking with rhythm until he moves. One of the biggest problems people do with colts is they spank inconsistently. What do I mean by that? Like, let's just say, I'll just kind of do it right now. I'm going to try to get him to canter, okay? So a lot of people do this. They'll squeeze and cluck, and then they'll spank once and then leave him. And then spank once and leave him. And then do that. You got to keep spanking there until the feet move. You got to keep spanking there until the feet move. You gotta keep spanking until the feet move. Every time, okay, let's back off a little. Every time you spank once and he doesn't go faster, and you let that be, even just for 2 seconds, you're teaching him to ignore your spank. Hang on to the horn and keep spanking. Now some of them will kick up with their back legs, like crow hop or kick up. He felt like he almost thought about doing it over there a couple of times. Okay. And if they kick up, keep spanking them and get their feet to move. They're only crow hopping or kicking up because they're trying to tell you they don't want to move forward. Okay? Get those feet moving. There we go. You'll notice that I kind of give it a sharp bump when he goes to turn right and I didn't ask him. I go like that and kind of knock him off that and then release it just as quick. Okay. We got him moving. Forwards, backwards, pick up on this back cinch. Left and right. Got his feet cantering. Tomorrow he really needs out of the round pen to where he can get freed up and get moving around the whole arena. Okay, I don't mind my legs kind of bumping on him a little bit, just waving back and forth. I'm not using kicking to really make him go, but I do want to get him to where he's not hypersensitive about my legs. The worst thing I think mistakes they make when they get on these 2-year-olds or colts is they want to be real proper, like they want to be real still with their hands and just a little bitty walk and maybe just a teeny little trot because it's just a baby 2-year-old and we couldn't, heaven forbid we pushed him and made him sweat because his legs would all break off, okay? And they'll ride him like that for 2 or 3 weeks, just a little walk or a little bit of a jog. And then one day they'll ride the horse out in the arena or go down the road somewhere and their buddy will go down the road and they'll wave and they'll go, "Hey Frank, how you doing?" They stick their hand up and wave at somebody and that colt will see your hand up like that and snort and jump and throw you head first into the ground. Ride them like you've been drinking, okay? Ride them like you're the most relaxed drunk in the world, okay? Don't ride them like you're scared. Ride them like you're confident. But it's easy to be confident when you've done your homework, when you've got all that jump and spook out of them. But if you've been sneaking around your colt doing the groundwork and haven't been trying to give him a heart attack, help me get back to the center please mate, then it's hard to be like this because they'll buck you off. It's easy to be a drunk when you've prepared your horse, okay? But if you've been sneaking around him for the last 10 days, now you don't want to get up here and go, "Yeah," and whack him on the ass because he will dump you on your head. But if you've been doing all this stuff on the ground, you know, the Jeffries method, moving around the human curry comb, plastic bag, all these tools that we've been using, the stick, the rope, the whip, the stock whip, man, we got him ready for a kid. So he did good for his second ride. And they'll do that kind of stuff over there where they'll just kind of pick a spot where they want to stop and turn. Usually I just try and turn them the opposite way. Every once in a while, you're going to get a colt that wants to run your leg into the fence, or run your knee up into the round pen fence, okay? Or even when you ride them out in the arena, they'll want to do it. All I do is I just jerk their nose into the fence. Let's try to just demonstrate a little bit here, Shana. Okay, let's just say, I'll just do it at the walk. He was wanting to run my knee up against the fence, okay? Well, when he gets close to the fence, all I'll do, see, most people, help me a bit here, Shana. Most people want to keep pulling the horse's head away from the fence. And all that does is make them lean into the fence even more. What I'll do is when they want to run my knee into the fence, I'll get them up here beside this fence, and then I'll just jerk that nose like that into that fence. I couldn't really do it to him because he didn't want to get to the fence, but I'll reach down and I'll go whack like that. And I'll jerk that nose into that fence 3 or 4 times and let them whack their nose on the fence. Oh, you'd be amazed how much it's not fun now. When they knock their own nose on the fence, they think keeping off the fence is a pretty good idea now. But when it's your kneecap getting whacked into the fence, they think that's the greatest game they've ever heard of. Okay, so it doesn't happen often, but every once in a while. If at this point, I'm going to try and answer some questions and common problems while I'm flexing him here. If at this point you are having a lot of trouble getting your horse to canter or move out, there's a very good chance you've skipped some of your groundwork. Obviously, you haven't done a good enough job getting his feet unlocked on the ground. Go back and do the round pen. Get his feet moving. If you have to, if I've got a real lazy one that I spank them with that stick and string and they laugh at me, I get the stock whip out. I'll whack them on the butt a couple of times with that stock whip, and oh man, you want to see their eyes roll back on their head and end. Then they quickly figure out that that stick maybe not be so bad after all. So I'll do whatever it takes to get the job done. If the stick and string isn't working, get a stock whip, okay? You've got to have the right tools to be effective. If you're not effective, your horse won't understand you, okay? So if what I'm using is not getting the job done, I'll go get a different tool that is getting the job done, okay? A caution here, you have to have somebody in the round penning helping you that has a reasonable knowledge of horses and the drive line. Because you can get, you know, I'd rather ride the horse by myself than have somebody in the round pen that's inexperienced or stupid, okay? Because they're just going to get you into a bigger wreck, okay? So go have somebody, watch the DVD about what we're doing, take notes on it. And you know what I do? If it's your first colt, go and practice it. Have your helper in the round pen with you. Get on an old broke horse that's already quiet, but pretend it's the colt. And you two work together as a team and do the forward, hindquarters, forequarters, hindquarters, forequarters. Ride it exactly how you plan to ride your colt. Do a little dress rehearsal, so to speak. So that way you don't get caught out there not knowing what to do, okay? But the hardest part is usually getting their feet to move. But that's really only hard if you haven't got their feet moving good on the ground. If you've got them cantering good on the ground, usually it's not a big issue there. Now there's one more thing I want to do before we put him away here, is I want to just get him yielding his hindquarters a little bit in preparation for tomorrow. I'm going to bend his head. I'm going to put my left leg back now near his back cinch, behind the back cinch, and I'm going to ask him to yield his hindquarters, just like we did on the ground. And if he doesn't move it, there's 2 steps. I'm going to spank it with the end of my rein. So I'm going to flex him, put my leg back, press, nothing's happening. Spank him behind my leg, there. When he moves his butt a couple of steps, release it, take my leg off, but wait till he stops and softens before I let the rein go. So, flex. Put my leg back and press. Ah, now that was pretty good. That time when I pressed him with my leg, I didn't need to spank his butt. Press, he's not moving, reach back, look back at your leg. Spank that butt there. There you go. Take your leg off. Wait till they stop and soften. Put my leg back, press. Nothing's happening. Reach back there. This is where stirrup driving comes in handy. Okay, he's a little green here at it, but eventually he's going to figure out that when my foot gets back there and I press like that, I need his feet to move. See how he tried to be stiff on that hackamore just then? That's why you keep that bend in them until they stop moving their feet and they soften. The reason I'm doing it now at the end of the session is because this is the first thing I'm going to do tomorrow when I get on him. I'm going to try to do everything without using Shayna's help. There, a couple of steps. Okay, let's get him back to the middle, please, Shayna. Rightio. Because by loosening his hindquarters up now, okay, when I go to get on him, I can move that butt, which is the clutch, isn't it? Get that hindquarters to disengage. There. So he's a little sticky there, which tells me that I need to do a little bit better job on the ground, getting him good about moving off that steady pressure. See how he's moving around here? I'm going to bump, bump, bump there until he stops and softens. I want to get him to where when I just press him with my heel, he'll move that butt across. So he needs more stirrup driving, and he needs more steady pressure yielding his hindquarters. Teach him that when I press him with that leg, come on, move your butt. He's a little lazy here. They will get off it. So I do this at the end of the session. The last thing you do today is the first thing I remember the next day. There. Now he moved his butt, but he's stiff with his face, isn't he? You see that? Notice that I didn't let go of that right rein until he stopped and he softened. So he moved his butt pretty good, but he was kind of pulling on that hackamore. That's why I didn't want to release that pressure. Press. He's not moving. I always spank with my outside hand, spank it across my body. Eventually he'll do a 360 degree yield. See him fighting just then? That's similar to what he did with checking his head to his tail, isn't it? See, it's relatively easy to get your horse to flex, bump, when their feet aren't moving. What's considerably harder is to get a horse to soften and move their feet at the same time. That's what's considerably harder. I'm going to get a little bit more severe on this left side when he just hangs up on me. I'm just going to get slightly pickier. Come here. I might bump him on the side of the face to encourage him to bend. He just kind of gets stuck right there where he doesn't really want to try. That was better. So today, he actually feels a little stiffer on this left side. Yesterday, the left side was his good side and the right side was a little stiffer. There we go. Righto, now I'm going to go get off now. Take my foot out of the stirrup, my right foot out of the stirrup, keep his head bent. I'm going to lean forward a few times. See how he keeps trying to straighten his head out? Keep it bent. Keep it bent. Keep it bent. There we go. Don't let him get straight to where he could take off and buck as you're getting off. And now step off up near his shoulder and then immediately take him into a flex. So the only thing I wasn't happy about, I would have liked him to have been a little lighter on this left side than what he was. So you know what I'm going to do on a typical situation like this? I'll just go ahead and check him around a little bit. Okay? He can spend just 10-15 minutes checked around and just pulling on himself a little bit and remind him, just like right there, remind himself that pulling's not a good deal. I'm going to try to stay in here till he stops. There. So I'm just going to let him sull on that a little bit for 15 minutes and let him just figure that out a little bit there. So when I've got a colt that's wanting to be a little bit stiff there, just check them around for 10-15 minutes after you get off them and let them just, you know, figure it out for themselves. So a lot of times horses will figure things out for themselves a lot better than what we can teach it to them. But other than him being just a little bit stiff on this left side here, see him pulling on that now? I was pretty happy with the second ride. No major problems there. Okay. That's a boy. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and bring him back tomorrow for his third ride. Today, mate, is Ransom's third ride. Yesterday, I was very happy with the way that he rode. No real major problems at all. And it's very, very important that when you start riding the horse, as best you can, try to ride him for a good 10 to 14 days in a row, okay? And the same thing goes when you're saddling. Now, we had to give him 2 or 3 days break after the first saddling because it rained here. But as a typical deal, I don't like to give him any days off in the first 2 weeks. I want to get him used to that saddle and used to that rider. If you give him 1 or 2 rides and then you give him 4 or 5 days off and you come back and ride him again, it's like you have to start all the way back over again, okay? So as best you can, you want to keep that consistency going with your horse. Now today, Shayna, my professional clinician, she's going to be in the round pen with me, but she's only going to help me if I get stuck, okay? She's really just kind of an insurance plan there, okay? I want to pretend that she's not even in here. If I need some help, she'll help me. We're going to start out in the round pen for the first, say, 5-10 minutes, get his feet moving, make sure everything's going right, and then we're going to take him down to the bottom arena and I ride him around out there because I need to get those feet moving out. If you ride him in the round pen too much, okay, what happens is they just get too shut down mentally. Okay, they don't free up enough. You've got to give them a place to go, okay? So it's very, very important there. Now this morning I've been working on getting him to flex and yield his hindquarters a little bit better. Remember from yesterday, the steady pressure, he wasn't real good. When I press him here with my thumb, he was a little sticky. Now the left side is his better side of the two. Okay, there, I love that. Now I take my hand back to the saddle, rub him to a stop. If I press him gently with my thumb, now he's moving off a lot better than yesterday, isn't he? So I worked on that this morning. This is important because today when I get on him, the first thing I'm going to do after I flex him is yield that hindquarters. So I want to get him used to that leg pressure back there. My thumb is basically simulating what my heel's going to do on my boot. So flex first. He's a little sticky here, flex him. Press him with that thumb. This is his bad side. This is the side he wanted to get real stiff on yesterday. Remember, and throw his head up and kind of be stiff about it? That's a lot better. As a general rule, he's pivoting on his right front foot and the hind feet are going around his front feet, just off that steady pressure of that thumb. Now I'm gonna rub him to a stop. So that's a lot better. If you can get that horse understanding that when you press him with that thumb, that he's gonna move that hindquarters, that's good. Now see here, I'm gonna come back and flex him. Flexing's not the cue for him to move his feet. My thumb is the cue, okay? So if they start anticipating, which he's doing just a little bit right now, just go back and flex them a few times. Make sure they understand that is not the cue. Don't push into me. It's your thumb that is the cue to move their butt. If they just get in a habit of moving their butt around every time you flex them, they'll want to move around when you ride them. When you go to flex them, they'll move their feet. Now I'm going to press. Now that's his cue to move his hindquarters. Okay, that's a lot better. He's not pulling on me anywhere near as much as he was. There we go. Rightio, let's go ahead and get on him. Always get on again from the center of the round pen. That's a boy. Check my saddles nice and tight. Flap those stirrups a couple of times. Every day I get on, I'm still going to bend his head around for the next week or so until I get him really confident about having a rider on him. Get that head bent. Okay. Now you just don't even move the bag at all now, Shana. You just stand back there. You're only going to move that bag. See here? Get that head bent. That's a boy. If I get into trouble. Never hurts to flex them around. Rub them a little bit while you're up here. Never hurts to rub them on that face. So nothing's going to change here for the first minute. All I'm going to do is flex him from side to side. I like to be able to reach down and rub their face. Pick up. Nowhere near as stiff there today as what he was yesterday. That's it. Don't be in a hurry on any horse to get on and go somewhere. Horses that develop that habit, see here how he's a little stuck there? Horses that develop that habit of walking off when you go to get on them, it's because people get on and then immediately go somewhere. Okay? You've got to teach the horse that I'm going to get on you, and then we're not going to go anywhere. Okay? I always pick up with steady pressure, and then if he feels a little heavy, then I use bump, 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 driving pressure. But I always pick up, watch, pick up with steady. See here? It's heavy. There. His biggest problem is that once he gets around here, he gets stuck from that point back to here. Okay, see how I'm kind of leading his nose to try to help that. Lead it out, and then it can kind of come back into my hip. Rather than just coming straight in my hip from this position, that can sometimes put him in a little bit more of a bind when they're green. Lead that nose. Okay, so I'm going to ask him very, very gently. And then if I don't get what I want, then I'm going to bump. That was pretty decent. Ask him. He's heavy. Then I'm going to go bump, bump. And it'll just take a few days for him to eventually figure out that he's going to go from one side, that was better, to the other. But he's never going to get any better at it if I don't practice. Always pick up like he's absolutely perfectly light. And then that was better. Then be ready to correct him. One of my mentors, Ian Francis, he said, Clinton, a horse will never get any lighter than the first amount of pressure you put on him. Okay? So if you pick up with 10 ounces of pressure, it'll always take 10 ounces of pressure. Pick up with 1 ounce, and if that's not good enough, then you can go to 100 ounces if you need to, but always start with 1, and eventually 1 is all it'll take. There we go. That's a little better there. Out the side, there. Rightio, let's get started here. So to move him off without Shayna, she's going to be there as a backup. I'm going to try to get his hindquarters to disengage first. I'm going to put my leg back and press. If he doesn't move, I'm going to tap him right behind my leg there a little bit, just like we did yesterday, there. And then take my leg off, wait till he stops and softens. Wait, see how he's moving around? Hold it, hold it, hold it, there. Release it, slide this hand down. Press with my heel. Now I like that. This is actually on his bad side here. Okay, when I pressed him with my heel just then, he got off it straight away. That's what I'm looking for. Ask him with your heel, tell him with the rope. Okay, if he gets a little stuck, there we go. I got to get that hindquarters loosened up a little bit here. There we go. Got to get that hindquarters loosened up. So under saddle, he's actually a little worse to the left. Flex first. See how he's just moving his butt here? If they move their butt and you didn't ask him to, just go ahead and hold that flex. Okay. Always go back and flex if I anticipate. I just wanted to loosen up his hindquarters first. Get that to where when I put a little pressure on it, it would disengage. I'll go back to this side, press. He's a little stuck here, so I'm going to use my end of my rein. Help me out a little here, Shayna. Get around there a little bit. There we go. Just move his, unstick those feet. There, that's that hindquarters. Rightio. Okay. So he's a little stickier on this left side. So now, instead of just letting him go off, I'm going to see if I can't get him to walk in a bit of a circle here. Just kind of follow his nose out a little bit. Okay. That's it. Move that. Righto, let's stop him. One rein stop. Go the other way. And slap him on the neck. Get him follow that nose a little bit. That's a boy. I'm not putting a lot of bend in him. Just kind of want him to walk forward in a circle. I've got his head ready. If he went to take off or buck or do something silly, I'd quickly just pull that to my hip and shut him down. Disengage that hindquarters like that. Move your feet. That's a boy. He's a little stickier on this left side moving forward. Okay, Shane, kind of get behind the driver line a bit now. so he can go around the outside. Move your bag a little bit. Move it a little bit. That's it. Let's get him trotting out a little bit. That's it. I like to kind of initially have those legs banging on them a little bit, kind of dull them up just a tad bit to where they're not overly sensitive, to where you touch them and they start running. Okay, Shana, help me get loped here. That's it. Right, Shana's going to be pretty still now. Not do anything, and I'm going to try to get his feet moving. That's it. I'm going to start with one rein. So I'm still having to spank him to make him move, but not as hard as I was yesterday. So that's a little improvement. Get him to make sure he flexes here. Right. That's it. Just stay behind the drive line, Shane. Okay, let's ask him to canter. That's it. He feels a lot better about moving out. Now when I spank them, do you notice that I always use this inside hand to spank them under and over? I like to use the inside hand so they can see it coming, because their head is usually to the inside so his right eye can see more. I find if you use the outside hand to spank them, sometimes you can surprise them and they'll buck you off, okay, when you first spank them. I want them to see it coming, see that hand moving, so it's not a surprise. Okay, just stand still now, Shana. Righto, I'm going to turn him in. Shana's going to stand still, don't move at all now. Squeeze. That's it. That's it. Come on, move out. Righto. One full turn and then leave. Move. Notice I let him drop to a trot and then correct him. 1.5. There we go. Righto. Slide my hand down. Work on those turns just a little bit there. Get him to follow his nose. That's it. Drop it and head on out. Move those feet. That's it. I want to be able to move his feet out by myself without too much trouble, so when I get him into that arena, you know, I don't have Shana helping me anymore. So I've got to be able to get those feet to move. Okay. Rightio. Move all over him. Slap your hand on his butt, on his neck. Pull on that back cinch. Make sure that they're nice and relaxed. Rightio. I don't want to waste too much of his energy in here. Let me get back to the center, please, Shana. Let me get back to the center. Right here. So I just want to spend maybe the first, 5 to 10 minutes, 15 minutes if necessary in the round pen. and then I want to finish this ride in the arena where he's got more room to move out. It's difficult to get your horses to move out in the round pen more in the first couple of rides, because it just shuts them down mentally. They don't feel like they're actually getting to go anywhere. It's just no different to when you ride a horse in the arena all the time and you take them out and you start to lope big circles in a big pasture or field. Often the first couple of times you go out there, they're a little hotter and they want to run because they're not restricted by those four walls. Okay. Bump on that nose. There we go. I'd like to get it to every time he flexes, that nose touches some part of my boot, jean, stirrup, or fender. Yeah, that hindquarters. It's a boy. I like that. When I put that leg back just then, he moved that hindquarters. He doesn't get stuck going from left to right, but he does get a little stuck here, going from right back to left. That just needs practice. That's why I use the hackamore first, so I can get all this stiffness out of them before I put that bit in their mouth. By the time I put that bit in their mouth, they should already have a really good idea of what to do, so I shouldn't have to be tugging on them too much to get them to give. That's a boy. Might just work on this left side a few more times. You just got to understand, when I pick up on that rein, bend. The more you bend them, the softer they get. The straighter you keep them, the stiffer they get. Oh, I like that last one. That was really good. Okay, let's go ahead and get off. Flex his head, take my foot out of the stirrup, because if you don't, and you go to get off, and that stirrup flops off your foot and hits him in the belly, they might jump forward and buck you off. Let him know I'm coming, and now step off up by his shoulder, and then immediately step back in and flexing. Pretty good for his start of his third ride. Let's head down to the back arena so we can get him moving out a lot better, mate. Now, mate, we've brought Ransom out here for his third ride outside here. This arena is 125 feet by 250 feet long. I really like this size of arena to work with my horses a lot. You know, I've got a big round arena that I do the clinics in, and it's 350 feet across. It's a big circular arena, but this is a good size to get a colt out there and get him moving around, okay? If you don't have one this big, it'll still work, but again, the bigger the area, the better. But if you get too big, then you might need a fence to help you turn or stop or something like that, okay? So this is a good size to get started. Again, I'm gonna get halfway on, get his head turned around, make sure he knows I'm coming, don't surprise him, and then you can step all the way on. Nothing's really changed. I'm just gonna act like this is the round pen. So again, when I first get on, I'm going to do nothing but flex him a little bit here, making sure he's... Now that's better. That was one of the first times that I flexed him from right back to left, and he didn't really get stuck on that hackamore. He's a little bit confused here when I flex him back to the right. He thinks I want him to move that hindquarters, and that's all right. In the beginning, they'll do things like that. You'll teach them something, and then that's all they want to do, okay? That's where you've got to come back and just do more flexing from side to side. Preferably when I get them outside the round pen for the first time, I don't want to have a lot of other people in the arena. I'd like to do it just by myself, preferably. Okay. If you don't have an arena to take them out the first time, you can take them down a big dirt road. I love to put my colts on a big dirt road. In Australia, when I started a lot of colts, when I went out my own, I only had a 50-foot round pen, and that was it. I didn't have an arena. So I would take them from that third ride on and put them on a big dirt road, and I just go lope down that road, okay? And in the beginning, they might kind of bounce off the sides a little bit and run into the gullies a little bit, but then they figure out that it's just easier to stay on top of the road. Sometimes if you had an old broke horse around, somebody on a nice quiet horse, they could lope in front of you and your colt would just follow that colt, but a lot of the time I was out there by myself and I didn't. But on a dirt road will work the same, because eventually the horse just figures out how to follow that dirt road. So you can kind of pitch them away and get them loping down that dirt road. Get them going somewhere. Okay. Rightio. A little stuck there. Let's go ahead and yield his hindquarters. I'm going to press with my left leg. There we go. There's a couple of steps right there. Take my leg off. Wait till he softens. I'm going to flex him back here. Now I'm going to press with my leg. That's it. He's yielding that hindquarters. A couple of steps. Take my leg off. Wait till he stops and softens. So that's the first thing I do, is make sure that I can disengage that hindquarters. That's a lot better. I'm not having to spank him every time now to get him to move his feet. It's very important to flex first, then press with your leg. See how he rooted his nose out then? Keep that bend in him. There, when he softens, then take your leg off and relax. So every day I practice this, he'll get a little better about flexing and moving his feet. Now see, that time he started moving before I asked him, that's anticipation. So when that happens, and they'll all do it to you a little bit, just go back and flex them a few more times. You might have to do 4 flexes to 1 yield. That's okay, until they eventually figured out that it's not the flexing that's causing them to yield their hindquarters. It's the actual putting your leg on. Rightio. Okay, let's get him going forward in a circle here. I usually hang on to that horn a little bit initially. I might tap them with the side of my outside leg on their elbow. And just kind of get them to follow their nose a little bit here. Rather than just run off and let them buck or take off somewhere, just kind of keep them in a bit of a circle so you got control of that nose. Now I told you that I want to squeeze, cluck, spank to make him go. And I will kick a little bit, but morally what I want to do is just be bumping my legs on his belly to have him a little bit desensitized. I don't want to have him have a colt so hypersensitive that if I move my big toe, they start jumping. So a lot of the times you'll see me bumping my legs, kind of like right now. I'm not really necessarily kicking him, but I am just letting him know I'm up here. The biggest thing you don't want to do is be still to where they forget you're up there, and then they wake up in a hurry when they do see you're up there. Okay? I don't really care how round the circle is. I'm just after him to follow his nose here. Okay? Go ahead and flex him here. Stiffness, stiffness. He's stiff. He's stiff. There, he stopped and he softened. Okay. Now I'm just going to work on my one rein stops, just getting him to go forward and then stop. So squeeze. That's the boy. I'm going to let him walk out 10-15 feet. Slide my hand down, pull it to my hip. Basically what I'm doing now is I'm working very much on what we do in the fundamental series. We've got to get a gas pedal. When I squeeze, he knows that that means go. Get a brake. When I pick up on the rein and ask him to flex, that means stop. Okay, squeeze. That's the boy. And again, kind of be moving on him, be nice and loose. Rub him on the neck, tap him on the butt, be moving all around him. Especially on a windy day like today. Today's a good day to get bucked off on a colt, being still on him, okay? Slide my hand down, pick it up to my hip. Now I'm not steering him. He can go anywhere he wants. We don't even really have a steering wheel right now, so there's no point even trying to steer him. Squeeze. That's it. If that didn't work, then I clucked, then I spank. So again, be confident to move all over these colts. Now I still got my hand on the horn, and I don't let go of my hand off my horn for quite a while until they prove to me they're real safe. But my hand's on the horn ready for if he wants to jump or spook, it'll help me stay in the saddle. But at the same time, my rest of the body, my body is real relaxed. Slide my hand down, pull it up to my hip. So I alternate which side I stop them on, but when I figure out I've got one side that's a little stiffer, I usually do a little bit more on that side. So do 2/3 on the bad side, 1/3 on the good side. Okay. Now I don't like to walk for a long time. I like to get them moving pretty quick. Now I'm going to cluck, trot him off just a few steps, and now shut him down. Why did I shut him down? I want to let him know, listen buddy, at any point during this ride, I can shut you down. Don't you ever forget that. I don't want him thinking that he can do whatever he wants and I can't get a hold of him. So if I sit and relax, there, I can bend him around, disengage that hindquarters. And as he gets better, I slowly start letting him out a bigger distance, and then we'll canter too. Squeeze, cluck, that's a boy. Again, he can kind of go wherever he wants as long as he's moving forward. Sit, 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 and relax. Eventually he'll learn to sit, read my seat. When I sit and relax, he'll know that that means stop. Now in the beginning, they usually always head, you know, stay down one end of the arena, okay? Usually where their pasture buddies are, or where you stall them or something like that. That's okay, don't worry too much about that. Okay? As long as he's moving forward, you don't really care. See, like I used to keep him in that back pen over there in those cattle pens for those first few days when we were catching him. So he's probably going to hang out at that corner a lot. He'll keep coming back here because he thinks that that means out. Sit, 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 and relax. And bend him around. Good boy. So he's doing really good here. Little stiff right here. Squeeze. Cluck. And then spank if necessary. Even when they're trotting around, I try to keep one hand just kind of on that rein. I'm not really pulling it here, but I got it to get him in a hurry if he went to buck or take off, okay? Rather than just have it real loose. So for the first few minutes, I want to have that hand there ready, okay? Sit and relax, right there. So what I want to do now is see if I can't get him loping out and doing the same thing. He's giving me no sign that he's giving me any trouble. He doesn't feel tight right now. A little jumpy with the wind, but nothing extreme. Squeeze, cluck. There we go. Let him lope a few strides and then bend him down. Now don't go more than 5 strides, because usually it's that canter that's going to get you into trouble. That's where if they're going to pitch a fit and run and buck or bolt, it's when they first break into that canter. Okay? I love that, you big donkey. He's loping around here real nice and relaxed. He's doing great. He's not quite stopping as quick as I'd like when I flex him. He's still moving his feet more than I'd like, but that's all right. It's only his 3rd ride. Squeeze, cluck. Okay, now I'm going to let him lope a little further. Each time I let him lope out, let him lope a few more strides. Okay, before I shut him down. Until eventually he'll lope 15, 20 strides without a problem. Squeeze, cluck, that's it. That's my boy, good boy. He's doing great. Now I'm going to sit and relax, slide my hand down and bend him around. Anytime you can pull out to the side, lead that nose and then back to your hip, lead that nose, then back to your hip. It helps him in the very beginning. If he goes to walk off and you didn't ask him, shut him down. You're the one that says go forward. So if you have to do more than a flex, like he's kind of a little fidgety right here, so I'm going to keep flexing him until he lets me bend that head, send him off. I want to be the one that pushes him out. That's better. Now he's staying here. So squeeze, cluck, spank. Okay. Now I feel like if at the canter I can get him to do a 1 rein stop. Now I want to start working on a little bit of the cruising lesson, just getting him to move out. So pretty much, to be honest, at this point forward, you know what we do? We just follow the fundamental riding series. It doesn't matter what age horse you get got to get a gas pedal, then you got to get a brake, then you got to get a steering wheel. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just move all over him. I'm going to be ready when he trots, squeeze, cluck, and then spank, and the rest of the time I'm going to go back to drinking again and moving all over him. Okay, again, do not try to steer the horse. Fix one thing at a time. Gas pedal, brake, and now cruise control button. Wait till he commits. Almost. There. Let him commit to braking gait. Okay, you can't change gaits. You can change directions. There. So it's squeeze, then it's cluck, then it's spank. Eventually I won't need to cluck or spank. Okay. Wait. Let him commit to it. He's thinking about trotting. He's thinking about it. And then spank. Squeeze, squeeze, cluck, spank. We'll change hands. Okay. If you got a colt that wants to run your knee into the fence, do this to him. Jerk that nose into that fence a few times. And when you do that, pretty soon they don't want to be so close to the fence. If you keep pulling their head away from the fence, they keep running your knee into it. He wasn't doing that, but I thought that would be a good place to just show you what to do. You get them to whack their own snout on the fence a few times. I don't think it's too much fun. When they're whacking your knee on every gate post, I think that's the greatest game I've ever seen. There we go. Move all over them. See, I've got my spanker in my hand and my horn so that if I can quickly grab it if I need it. Okay, I don't want to have to go find it. As soon as he breaks gate, get ready. Get ready. Squeeze, cluck, spank. Okay. So now it's just about getting him to move out. Come on, move out. Now initially they might run a little faster than what you want, okay? As long as they don't get faster and faster and faster, I just leave them be. Okay, like let's just say you want him to go 20 miles an hour, okay? Like he's got a nice relaxed slope here, just cruising around, being really pretty much perfect as far as his third ride goes, okay? But let's just say he was a little faster than this. As long as he didn't get faster and faster, I would leave him alone, okay? And just kind of sit there, because after a few minutes when they get knocked up out of air, okay, that's when they'll start to slow down. Just like Duke and Shayna, when she rode him for the first time, move your feet, there you go. When she rode him for the first time, he was a little impulsive, like wanting to go, but when he got a little tired, he slowed up some. Get ready. See, he's looking for a place to quit. I'm going to make sure he's moving forward enough. See how he's zigzagging? That's a boy. The stickier they are with their feet and their mind, the more they change directions and they weave back and forth. The more freed up they are, the straighter lines they do. So now he's going to hang out down this end because there's a mare and foal down here in this pen. So now he's figured that out. So he's left that corner alone. Don't worry. That's it. Got to get him moved out. Wait. Let him commit to that mistake. There we go. Okay, I'm going to sit and relax. Slide my hand down. Bend him around. See how he's disengaging that hip here? I don't really want that, but it's what I call a nice problem to have, is that he's a little confused. He thinks that every time I flex him, that I want him to disengage. He'll figure that out. He'll figure out that the leg is the cue, not the rein. Okay, so I'm just going to flex him here. And then what I'm going to do is just go back and work on some of my one rein stops, getting that gas pedal to be better and that brake to be better. Okay. So really at this point, it's just follow the fundamental series. It's gas pedal first, then it's brake, then it's cruise control button, then it's a steering wheel. We're building a car here, okay? That's all we're doing. See here, when he gets a little stiff, knock on him there. I'm gonna work on this left side a little bit more here, because this is the side that he gets stuck right there. But notice that I always pick up softly. Pick up lightly. If you have a tendency to be heavy-handed, pick up with just your thumb and index finger on the rein. And act like your thumb and index finger are bloody and blistered and they're broken. Okay? That's how you should start to pick up, like they're bloody and blistered. And then all of a sudden they get miraculously healed and jerk his head off if he's heavy. See here? Heavy. If he can feel a fly, good boy. If he can feel a fly land on his butt, he can certainly feel this hackamore on his nose. They just choose to ignore the hackamore. There, see? He's capable of being as light as I want, just sometimes he doesn't want to put in the effort. There we go. Righto, squeeze, cluck. Now see how I didn't sit there for a long time, did I? Remember what Gordon said? Don't sit on these colts for a long time doing nothing, okay? Come on, walk out. Okay? Even though I was sitting on him, I was still doing things. I was flexing him, etc. Squeeze, cluck. Come on, you can move out faster than that. These Mustangs, they get really quiet and lazy, okay? Which is kind of good, but you don't want to let them get too lazy. Okay? So because he wants to walk so slow, I'll probably make him trot. Squeeze with both legs. Nothing's happening. Cluck. And now I'm going to spank. Squeeze, cluck, spank. If he tries to stop and turn like that, just move those feet. Sit and relax. Bend him around. What I like to do is do 2 sessions of the cruising. I like to cruise him around for a little while, then give him a little bit of a break, then work on my 1 rein stops. Squeeze, cluck, spank, and then go back and lope him again before I put him away. Sit and relax, and then bend him around. That was pretty soft there. Wait till he stops moving his feet. See how his feet are still moving? Wait there and release. Squeeze, cluck, spank. Let's get him cantering again. That's the boy. In fact, I'm going to get him to move out just a little bit more. He's a little bit too sucked back for me. Even though he's cantering, I want him to move out a little faster. I don't like that real little hoppity little lope like they're not going anywhere. I like that better. Move your feet. Come on, move your feet. That's better. You got to get that cork to fall out of their butt cheeks, okay, and get going somewhere. Now I like this better. Now he's actually striding out a little bit better. So even though I said don't spank him till they trot, that is true, but I'm going to break my own rule with this one because he needs moved out. So when he starts doing that little pony lope deal and not going anywhere, I'm going to spank his butt and make him push that cork out and start going somewhere. Come on, move your feet. Move your feet. Move your feet. That's a boy. Now we're covering some ground. This is why I love to get those colts on those big dirt roads. Just get them following their nose. When I fly all over the country, I look out the window a lot of the time, and especially out west, and I see all those big fire breaks around people's cattle properties, and I think about how cool it would be. Move your feet. To put those colts on those 15, 20-foot fire breaks and just let them lope for hours. You got to put miles under your horse's feet if you want them to get it broke. That's what horses are missing most of the time now because they're recreational pets. They need miles. Long rides, bring them back with wet saddle pads and concentrated training. That's better. Now I'm going to quit him before he quits me. Meaning that you don't want to, first couple of rides, lope them so much that they start shutting down on you before you want, okay? So I try to leave them with just a little bit of air in them so they don't shut down on me first. But there's a fine line there too. You don't want to not lope them enough either, okay? So that's why I kind of like to do it in 2 little stages. A little heavy right there. Pick up softly, little heavy right there. Pick up lightly, little heavy right there. There, that was really light, good boy. Squeeze, that's it. So if your horse wants to keep hanging around the gate, just keep his feet moving. Now I'm just going to go and work on getting him to follow his nose a little bit. Just go forward and around in a circle, not a lot of bend, just follow your nose. See, I've got my hand out the side, kind of leading this colt's nose. Come on, move your feet. I spank behind my legs for forward motion. When I want him to turn more, I slap him on the outside of their neck. Like if he wouldn't follow his nose, I tap him like that in the side of his neck. I can use my hand too if I need to. Give him a little hand therapy there too. Okay. Just some sort of a circle. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just follow your nose, please. And you notice when I do this, I'll kind of pull and release a little bit on the rein. But don't ask for a lot of bend. Just get him following his nose. Okay, I'm going to work on yielding his hindquarters a few times, and then I'm going to flex him and then hop off him. So I'm going to press, get him to yield that hindquarters a couple of steps, take my leg off, wait till he stops and softens. I'm going to flex him, put my leg back and press. He's not moving. Whack his butt, wake him up. He's not moving, wake him up. There's a couple of steps. Take my leg off, wait till he stops and softens. So every once in a while he'll have a little Alzheimer attack and forget what he's supposed to be doing. Press, nothing's happening, he's off with the fairies. Whack his butt, there's 2 steps, take it off. Let's try that side again. Slide, press. He's not moving off it as light as I want. See, I want him to move off that bare heel. That's why I don't put spurs on him early on. I want him to get respectful of just my bare heel. Now here he's anticipating doing it, so whenever he does that, I don't do it. I just flex. Press with my leg. That's better. Yield that hindquarters. Wait till he stops and softens. Rightio, he's ready to get off. Good boy. Rub on him here a little bit. See how I've always got to hold the horn just in case he jump. Okay, no shame in hanging on to the horn. I'd rather hang on to the horn or their mane and stay on if they jump or spook than not do that and they jump or spook and you grab them with your legs or your reins for balance. Okay, rightio. Grab a little mane here, let him know I'm coming, then step off. Immediately step back in and flex him. Good job, Ransom. You did great. I can't wait to get his feet a little broker and trim those feet up. He's got some old paddles on him down here, about 10-inch long feet. We'll take care of that in a few days. Good boy. There's something about just getting a horse out and ridden that just gets them a lot quieter. I've had not just some, I've had a lot of colts that I've started over the years that on the ground, they were pretty good, but they still had a little bit of jumpiness to them and just more than what I might like. And it's amazing when you give them 2 or 3 rides and you get them moving out, man, they just really mellow out after that. It's almost like it finishes off their groundwork. It's hard to explain because I don't want people to take that out of context and say, okay, if he's jumpy and spooky, Clinton said it's all right, get on and ride him and that'll fix it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you'll notice that once you start riding them, they'll get even quieter on the ground, and especially when you get them moving out. The biggest mistakes people make at this stage is they walk everywhere. Oh, I got to walk the little bitty 2-year-old because he's got these little bitty 2-year-old legs and his bones haven't developed just yet. And if I push him hard, my vet said he'll collapse and die, okay? You listen, they're a big, strong animal. They're going to, unless you weigh 800 pounds, they're going to pack you around just fine, okay? The biggest mistake you make is just walking everywhere, because what happens is, see, in the first few rides, you're setting up for that horse what the rest of his life is going to be like, okay? You're setting that up there, okay? So from the first few rides, I want to tell Ransom that, by the way, human beings, we get on you and we walk, we trot, we canter. We turn left, we turn right, we flex, we yield our hindquarters, and we ride drunk everywhere. So we're showing this horse, this is what happens. But in the first 5 to 10 rides, if you just get on and just walk everywhere and you're very quiet and very still and you don't push them at all, the horse is like, okay, I get it. Human beings get on. We don't ever go anywhere. We don't ever do anything. They're really quiet. Okay, I can deal with that. And you'll go along with what I call this cutesy stuff for about 10 rides, okay? And then all of a sudden you'll say, well, maybe we should get our young English horse to canter now. Maybe we should push him into the canter and extend him on just a little bit. And you'll squeeze, cluck, and spank, and he will kick his back legs up. He will flip you off. He will tell you to drop dead. Because that attitude comes out. Because when you start asking those feet to start moving, that's when he says, get lost, I hope you die in your sleep, okay? But if you get them moving from day one, they don't know any different. They don't know they're not supposed to walk, trot, and canter. But whatever you do in those first 10 rides, you're setting up as you're setting the standard. Horses don't trot, they don't canter. That's all they do is walk everywhere. And by the way, you got to be really still. I want to let him know that, hey, we're going to walk, trot, and canter. We're going to turn, we're going to move. Nothing's going to bother you. And that's how you get them so broke so quickly. So from this point forward, I'm going to ride him in this arena here for probably the next, 5 to 6 rides. And then we're going to start getting him outside, and I'll show you how to do that. But all I'm going to work on for the next 5 or 6 rides is my flexion when I get on, lateral flexion at the standstill. I'm going to work on my 1 rein stops at the walk, trot, and canter. And I usually do anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes per gait. I'm going to work on my cruise control lesson at the trot and the canter. I mainly do a lot of it at the canter initially. It kind of depends. If they're hotter blooded and they want to run a little bit like a thoroughbred or Arab, I do more of it at the trot initially. Trot them around, cruise them all over them, rub them, etc. And then I ease them into the canter. If they're cold-blooded and lazy, I do most of the cruising lesson at the canter to get their feet moving. So I will change that up depending on how hot or cold-blooded my horse is. Like the young 2-year-old Duke, okay, he was a little bit more, I wouldn't say he's hot-blooded, but he's a lot more athletic. I wouldn't just bring him out here and go straight to the canter straight away, because you notice with him, I didn't cruise him around much at the trot. I did a little bit of the trot, but I mainly got him in the canter because he felt lazy. He felt sucked back to me. I needed to get him moving forward there. So they're the things I'm going to work on, get him to yield his hindquarters, get him to follow his nose, and that's it. I'm not going to worry about steering him too much and correctly. Everybody says, well, what about the correct lead, and what about the horse's head, and what about getting him to go in a circle? Forget all that. Just get the basics. Go, stop, okay? Cruise control button. Cruise control means when I tell you to go a certain speed, only go that speed. Don't go any faster and don't go any slower than what I tell you. Only go that speed. So when I tell you to trot, you better what? Trot. If I tell you to canter, you better canter. If I don't tell you to do it, you better not do it. So in theory, when I'm loping around doing the cruising lesson at the canter, if I had a heart attack and died and I didn't fall off the horse, I just slumped over the front of him, in theory, somebody should find this horse loping around 3 weeks later with me dead loping around the arena on him. Because in theory, unless I said walk or trot before I croaked dead, he better not trot or walk in that next 3 weeks. That's mentally how conditioned I want my horses to be. I want my horses very much to be like the military. When I tell you to do it, you better do it. I don't want them to think for themselves as far as, well, should I really do what Clinton wants or should I not? Okay? When you get him broke, that's what a good broke horse does. He listens to his rider. He obeys that command. Okay, so start that from the very beginning. But I love that. He's nice and quiet. He's calm. At the end now, when I take the saddle off, this is a good time to start working with their feet some more. I always work with their legs, especially on a wild colt like him. Well, he was anyway. I always work with their feet at the end of a session when they're kind of tired, they're sweaty, they're wanting to stand still. And that's when you start introducing new things like bathing them with water and all that type of stuff, okay? But I'm still gonna unsaddle and saddle him in the middle of the arena, okay? I'm not gonna saddle him in the barn or tied up or anything like that for at least another 5, 6 saddlings until he proves to me he's ready. But we'll show you how to move into that anyway, mate. But for his 3rd ride, I thought he did great, okay? If you don't have an arena, haul your horse to find one. Board your horse somewhere for a couple of weeks at somebody's arena to where you can use an arena, okay? Find an old dirt road. Can you do this out in the pasture? The answer is yes. It's a lot harder though, especially on the grass. You don't want them to turn quickly and slip and fall over on top of you, but you need to use your imagination. But get them moving down a dirt road or preferably in an arena. When I worked for Gordon, we had like a 140-foot round arena that we'd take the colts from the 3rd ride into that big round arena, and I loved that because those colts would really just follow that fence pretty quickly. They'd learn to go in a circle and follow the fence. A rectangle one here works just as good. The only difference is they'll probably do a little bit more changes of direction in a rectangle pen as opposed to a round one where they go around, but it's not that crucial, that's for sure. But he did great, and I couldn't be happy with him. Now that I've unsaddled him, mate, I want to start working with his legs a little bit more, okay? I like to work with their legs at the end of a training session, especially after you've ridden them, they're a little tired, they're kind of sweaty, they're wanting to stand still. It'd be the opposite of bringing them out of their stall and they're fresh and they're jumping out of their skin and wanting to move around, okay? Now, up to this point, all I've shown you is us being able to touch his legs with the stick and touch his legs with the rope, okay? Making sure that you can move that rope back and forth, up and down all 4 legs, okay, moving it back and forth, rubbing him with the stick, etc. Well, Ransom is really good with all of that now, okay? And now I want to show you the next step of it, okay? Usually when I'm working with their legs, I always take the rope behind my hip and over my elbow like that. That way, at any point I can grab it, and if I pull it, see how it pulls his nose in, and that'll make his hindquarters like that go away, okay? So by having a little bit of bend in his neck, you'll be assured that you're a lot safer. So up to this point, we've got him to a point to where we can rub his legs vigorously, and he's not worried about us just touching his legs. Remember, if you cannot rub the horse's legs, approach and retreat vigorously with your hands. Don't even think about trying to pick them up, okay? So I can do this on the other front leg as well, but it's very, very important. So I worked on this in between all of my sensitizing exercise. When I went to desensitize him with the bag and the stick and the rope, I also did his legs as well, okay? Now, I want to give him a cue to picking his leg up. This little hard piece of skin here just above his knees, okay, called a chestnut. Some people call it a chestnut, other people call it ergot, okay? But I want to get that. I'm going to just squeeze it with my fingers. And I'm going to squeeze it and make it uncomfortable. And as soon as he, there. As soon as he takes that weight off that foot, I'm going to release and then rub it. So this is going to be a cue for him. Squeezing it, there. As soon as he picks his leg up, I would take it away and rub him. Take it away means release of pressure. Rubbing it means don't be defensive. Touch, press, push, wait, release, there. Now I didn't really want him to move his feet, but I did take it away when he lifted that foot up. Touch, press, push, wait, there. Okay, that's it. Now the fact that he's keeping his leg bent here, that's great, nice and relaxed. Okay, I'm not trying to pick his foot up right now. All I want to do is teach him a cue to take that weight off. There, just like that, okay? And then rub him. Now, once he understands that, wait. I'm going to hold it up for a second and then drop it. Now, I'm going to turn him away so hopefully you guys can see a little bit better, but I just held it up for just a split second, then I dropped it. There, hold it up, and then drop it. And then go back and rub it again. Lots of rubbing. Squeeze. Hold it up. Now I might hold it up for 2 seconds, and then drop it. So I'm slowly, gradually going to lengthen the time, but I hold his foot up. Okay, I usually hold the hoof, wait, then drop it. Now I keep kind of pushing his front end away because I'm trying to position him where you guys can see, but if the cameras weren't here, I wouldn't really care. But he's moving around a little bit here. Squeeze. There we go. Now I'm going to hold it up and see if I can rub it. Rub it with my other hand here. One hand on his hoof. Look how long his feet are here. See how long they are? Okay, rub, rub, rub. As soon as he relaxes, retreat and drop it. Now, if he would go to struggle, squeeze it. There, good boy. If he would go to struggle, I'm going to have to do it for him. Let's just say he started jerking his foot back and forth. I would try my best to hold his hoof up. I usually bend his hoof back like that, and I'd go with it. And as soon as he'd stop shaking his leg and keeping it still, I'd immediately drop it. Horses will kind of struggle and move their leg because they're trying to get you to drop it. Do the opposite. When he struggles, most people try to keep the foot still and fight the horse. Go with the leg. Go with him. And he'll fight, and then he'll relax. As soon as he relaxes, drop it. Show him that the quickest way to get you to drop his foot is to just stand there and relax. Okay? And in fact, I like to do it to them anyway. Even if they don't move it, I'll actually go and move their foot back and forth like this. And then when I keep it still, I drop it. So the horse gets pretty smart. Says, I get it. All I got to do is keep my foot still and this idiot will drop it. Okay? Good boy. And from here, I just keep building on it, okay? Then I can start putting it around my leg here a little bit and then retreat, approach, okay? And retreat. Now, a little tip here. If you think they're going to jerk their foot away in 5 seconds, you put it down in 4, okay? Now, when I say put it down, I don't try to place the horse's foot down. I just drop it for a couple of reasons why. I usually find that the more you try to place a horse's foot on the ground, they want to fight you a little bit more with it. Second of all, I usually find when you try to do that, they get into habits of wanting to lean on you when you pick up their foot. If somebody says, well, Clinton, my horse, every time I pick up his foot to clean his foot out, or he leans on my farrier, when I have a horse that leans on me with their front or back leg, when I've got a hold of them, I just jump out from underneath their foot and drop their foot, and hopefully they'll fall half down on the ground and whack their nose on the ground. Pretty soon they learn to balance themselves. As long as you let a horse lean on you, that's exactly what they do. They'll keep leaning on you. So I just drop it. As soon as they lean, I drop it. But the secret is, let's just say I had it between my legs right now and he started leaning on me. I'll immediately drop it and then pick it immediately straight back up again. Now right then, he got a little bit worried just then when he felt a little bit trapped. See here, I can feel him being a little tight with his leg here. Now that I've got it between my legs here, just a little tight there. See that there? Just wait, 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 wait. He's a little tight here. Now I just felt him, oh, he's a little tight. He's a little tight, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Now he feels, oh, now he feels relaxed, I'll drop it. So, he's got to get used to having that feeling of that leg being restricted a little bit between my legs. Squeeze. That's a cue to pick the foot up. Okay, so I might do a little of this, approach and then retreat. Approach a little bit more and then retreat. Approach a little bit more, then retreat. Do things like tapping the bottom of it. I don't shoe very many of my horses anymore. I use a lot of the natural barefoot trimming by a guy called Pete Ramey, okay? But I shoe them all my reiners and cow horses behind so they can slide across the ground when they're stopping, but I very rarely ever shoe any horses up front anymore. And all my signature horses, when I say all of them, I'd say at least 95% of them are barefoot all the way around. Tapping, tap, tap, tap. He's a little stiff here, a little tight with his leg. He just relaxed it, so I'll retreat. That's the secret, is the retreat part. You've got to retreat when they're nice and relaxed, okay? So I'm just going to keep building on that. And you can see that he never really gave me a lot of trouble, did he? But the secret is, you've got to get him good with this first. You got to get this good. Same thing with your farrier. Clinton, my horse won't let my farrier near him. Well, if your farrier can't get near him and rub him all over, he's never going to let the farrier pick up his feet. You got to break it into steps, okay? So whatever I did on one front foot, of course I would do it on the other, okay? I'm just going to show you 2 feet on this side. So let's do his back end here, okay? Again, have the rope over your elbow so that he's got a little bit of bend to his neck. Same thing. Before I even think about picking up their legs, they got to be real good with this. In the beginning, I stood like this with my back to him more, like that, keeping my face away in case he would kick. I'm not worried about that now, okay? He's nice and relaxed here. But I have not tried to pick his feet up. Okay, righto, I'm going to go ahead and squeeze his cap here. That's his cue. I'm going to squeeze this cap. Squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it. There. And also by bending his head a little bit, it'll also put a little bit of weight on that opposite hind leg. Let me step him away here. So I like to put a little bit of bend in him, especially when I'm working on this back end. Initially. So I'm going to squeeze that hock, there. And then go back and rub it again. Squeeze that hock, there. Then go and rub it again. I don't really want him to move around necessarily. And if he does, I just keep rubbing here. Stay in here nice and low. And just keep rubbing here until he stands still. That's a boy. Squeeze it. There, see, as soon as he takes that weight off, I retreat, then go back and rub it. Squeeze it. There. Now, if you get a horse that has a tendency to want to walk around too much, like when I say walk around, they're not worried about you touching them, but they're a little confused that when you squeeze them, they think that means move forward. You can put them up against a fence. Okay, like, let me just show it to you now. He's not really doing it, but I'll just show you. Some horses will do this. I'll put him up against a fence or a barrier like this and just work on it here. Squeeze. There. But a word of caution, make sure they're comfortable if you touching their leg. If they're not comfortable with this, they're not going to let you want to pick it up. I love that when he just takes his weight off and rests his toe on the ground. See how I got his head a little bit bent there? Bend that head. Squeeze it. Now see how that wall's there? Squeeze it. Squeeze it. There, he took his weight off. So he can't move his butt away anymore, but I've still got his head bent. Squeeze it. Squeeze it. Squeeze it. Squeeze it. Squeeze it. Squeeze it. I'm just going to pull that forward just a little bit there. There. Just need to move him off the fence just a little bit because it's hard for him to put his weight on that other leg. He was so close to it. Squeeze it. Squeeze it. Sometimes they're not real sensitive here. There, let's a little bit on their hock. That's it. Squeeze it. There's a little release. Squeeze it. There's a little release. He's not very sensitive, that's for damn sure. There. I just want him to understand when I squeeze that cap, take your foot off. There we go. Now that he's got his foot resting, now I can just pick it up for a second and just start rubbing it like this, just and drop it. Now he's got his toe on the ground, so I can just pick it up, hold the bottom of the hoof, rub, 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 got his head bent, okay, and then retreat it. Let me bring him back off the fence again. You notice that I very rarely ever just lead them anywhere. I'm always driving them somewhere. Either backing them up, doing the sending exercise. That's the boy. That's it. Pick it up. Get in close. See how I turn that hoof back? By turning that hoof back, it's a lot easier to hold up. Okay, I just turn it back like that. So my next step is just to rub and get him comfortable with me touching his leg off the ground. And then again, retreat. You can see he's not real concerned about this. And then what I'll slowly start to do then is get my leg underneath his leg a little bit. And then retreat. You can never retreat too many times when they're doing good. Rub it on, rub, 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 rub. Get my hand up between his butt cheeks here. Rub him. It's a big difference from 7 days ago, isn't it? 8 days ago, when he was first in the program. But see, I built up to this stage. I did not try to pick his feet up before he was ready. The feet are almost the last thing that I do. And then I can slowly take my leg under it more. Now he's thinking about struggling. So I might even just move his foot back and forth. Use a little reverse psychology. Hey, if you want to move your foot, move your foot. Keeps it relaxed, retreat. Okay. Squeeze. That's better. You see how he picked it up for me? That's the boy. So I want to rub him here. And as he gets better, I just slowly get more into that farrier position, like this. Lots of rubbing. Don't stop rubbing. Tap, 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 tap. And then I just jump out from underneath it. I don't want the horse knowing when I'm going to let that go, okay? I want him to think, I better balance myself, because at any point, he might just jump out from underneath it like that. Squeeze his hock. There, he takes your weight up. That's a boy. Little resistance right here. Can you see it? Little tight here. Little tight. Little tight. Now, little tight. Now, he just relaxed. Drop it. He was a little tight just then. But then as soon as he relaxed, that's when I dropped it. There, he feels pretty good right now. Feels pretty good. You start tapping the bottom. I used to get a rock, and I'd whack the bottom of their foot, and the hammer or hammer, simulate that farrier. Now on a shoe. Good boy. So not bad, but this is what happens when you prepare. You don't get into a wreck. Okay, I guarantee you that if I would have started with his feet and tried to pick him up on the first couple of days, he would have given us a lot bigger problem. We waited to the end. Well, when I say the end, you know, his third ride before we really started actually trying to pick him up. But I've been practicing rubbing his legs down now for the last 4 or 5 days. I've been rubbing those legs with my stick, with the rope, with my hands, okay, and preparing him for that. I love it here, he's got his leg cocked there. So whatever I do on one side, you do it on the other side, okay? You know, I keep referring back to Gordon McKinley all the time in this colt starting series, because he's really the guy that showed me all these skills that I'm showing you here in colt starting. But when I worked for him as an apprentice, he taught me how to shoe horses, okay? And when I say shoe, we weren't very good. We could get the job done, you know, kind of bushman shoeing. We could get the shoes to stay on and so forth, but we weren't professionals at it by any means, nor did we claim we were. And after a couple of weeks, I didn't really like this shoeing business. And I said to Gordon, I said, why are you teaching me how to shoe horses? I don't want to shoe horses for a living. I want to be a horse trainer. I don't want to shoe horses. And he said, Clinton, he said, I'm going to teach you how to shoe horses, because he said, for the next 2 years, you're going to shoe all the colts that you break in. That's one thing that the owners want. They need to be broke in, quiet as a mouse. You can go out and muster cattle on them, crack a stock wick on them, and they got to be shod. They got to be able to pick up their feet and have shoes on them at any point. And he said, because if you're the one that's going to have to shoe a horse, you're also going to be the one that's going to do a good job of preparing the horse. Because he said, if you don't shoe it, and you make somebody else shoe it, you won't care if the horse kicks or squabbles or moves around, because your back's not the one getting hurt. But I guarantee that if you're the one on the end of the foot, you'll make sure you do your homework. And he was dead set right. He was dead set right. So if I knew I had to shoe a horse on, say, Saturday, that Monday of the same week, you bet I'm starting to work with those feet. I'm working with those feet every day at the end of the ride. And by Saturday, like day one, Monday, I might just rub them all down. Tuesday, rub them all down and give them a cue to pick it up. Wednesday, rub them all down, give them the cue, pick it up and rub their foot. Thursday, pick their foot up and start to take it out the back and rub it. Friday, start doing all the tapping and hammering. Get them used to all that sensation. I just get an old rock out of the stockyards and get an old rock and whack it on the bottom of the foot. Get them used to that. And Saturday, they're ready to shoe, okay? But if I would have left it all to the last minute, I would have got into a wreck. And the first couple of horses, I did a really poor job of preparing them. And because of that, I suffered the consequences. So Gordon was a very smart man when he said, you have to do your own preparation. I guarantee if farriers start charging people extra money for the horses that won't stand still or want to kick or move around or be silly, people will start handling their horses' feet a lot better. Remember something, it's your job to train your horse to stand still for the farrier. It's not his job. His job is to do his job. Okay, so you've got to do your homework. So if I've got a young 2-year-old and I know he's going to get shoes on him for the first time, I'm going to make sure I worked him just before the farrier got there. I'm not going to let him be in a stall fed buckets of corn and he's breathing fire and he comes out of his stall thinking he's King Kong, okay, and then give him the farrier and say, good luck. I'm going to work him. If the farrier says, I'm going to be there at noon, Clinton, I'm going to get that colt out about 10 o'clock and I'm going to do groundwork and I'm going to ride him, and I'm going to ride him pretty hard too. I'm going to make him dripping with sweat. I'm going to come back, hose him up, tie him up for half an hour, and then when the farrier comes, I hand him to the farrier and that horse is like this. He's just wanting to fall asleep, okay? so if I don't give him any trouble. But I prepare my horses for what's going to happen to them. And that's the big secret with starting colts. So he did great with these 2 legs. I don't expect anything different on the other 2, but that's the process. So every day now I'm going to pick his feet up at the end of a training session and start getting more vigorous about it, rubbing him harder and faster, whacking the bottom of his feet with a hammer or a rock, get him used to if he's ever going to be shod. You know, more than likely he probably won't be, but I want to trim his feet here in another week or so. I want to get rid of all that extra hoof around there and trim his feet up and get him so he can move a lot better as well. He did great.